Hi folks, Kyle here. So I'm going to take you through the Deficit Reduction Act of 2005 as well as some long-term care partnership programs. President Bush at bill signing February 8, 2006 said, without reforms to entitlement programs, spending for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security alone will be almost 60% of the entire federal budget by 2030. That will leave the future generations with impossible choices, staggering tax increases, immense deficits, or deep cuts in every category of spending. The Deficit Reduction Act made Medicaid planning very difficult by closing most loopholes that have been used in the past. Allows states to begin new long-term care insurance partnership plans to give residents an incentive to purchase long-term care insurance. Effective date is the date of enactment, February 8, 2006, unless state legislation is required. There has also been transfership changes. Look-back period has been extended from 36 months to 60 months. The penalty period now begins on the date of the eligibility of the Medicaid instead of the date of the transfer was made. So here's an example for John and Mary. Say March 1st, 2006, they transferred $200,000 to their sons and or daughters. April 1st, 2009, John goes into a nursing home. He is eligible for Medicaid immediately. Let's look at the look-back period. The old law versus the new law. Old law is 36 months. So here's 36 months. Here he's eligible. New law, 60 months. See, the date of transfer was March 1st, 2006. He came eligible here. Look, he falls within that look-back period. So calculating the penalty. The penalty is divided the amount of transfer by the average cost of the nursing home facility in state. Example, if a transfer of $200,000 was in March 2006, you take $200,000 divided by the average cost, which is $3,888 equals 51.44 a month. Under the old law, normally rounded down to 51. The beginning date, the old law penalty applies from the date of the transfer. From the new law, the penalty applies at date of eligibility. So you can see the old law, March 1st, 2006. April 1st, 2010, Medicaid eligibility. New law, penalty period of 51 months starting April 1st, 2010. So new laws effect on John and Mary. So when John becomes eligible after April 2010, the family will have to pay 51 months of care under penalty. Remember, the penalty could cost more than what was transferred. Example, actual nursing home cost is $4,350 a month. 51 months with the cost 51 months of $4,350 is $221,850. See what I'm talking about? Home equity limits. The old law, the value of the home is not used to determine eligibility for Medicaid. New law, individuals with more than $500,000 in home equity are ineligible. Doesn't apply to spouse, minor, or disabled child that lives in the house. Applies for Medicaid applications filed under or after January 1st, 2006. Treatment of annuities, old law, loopholes include Medicaid annuities that bypass probate. New law requires Medicaid applicants. Annuities must meet conditions or could be penalized. Name state a remainder beneficiary for amounts they paid. Second position, community spouse, minor, or disabled child. Purchase of life estates. Old law, they're fairly open. New law, they're pretty much closed. Can be penalized for the purchase of a life estate interest in another individual's home, unless the purchaser resides in the home for a period of at least 1 year after the date of the purchase. Other loopholes were also closed up. Required states impose partial months of ineligibility. Multiple transfers will be accumulated into one penalty period. Income first rule, certain notes and loans and admissions to contracts. But the Deficit Reduction Act gave us a huge benefit, and that's long-term care partnership programs. And I'll explain those to you. The state long-term care partnership program is a federal government, says that the federal government has limited state ability to pass Medicaid partnership plans since 1993. So the Deficit Reduction Act of 2005 now allows states to pass partnership program laws. Partnership program will help states' Medicaid programs by encouraging consumers to purchase long-term care insurance. So how does a partnership plan work? Well, pretty simple. You buy long-term care insurance policies that meet your state's guidelines, inflation protection. When you need long-term care, your policy will pay first. If your policy benefits run out, you can apply for Medicaid. So Medicaid will allow you to protect assets, your house, your savings, equal to the insurance benefit payment. So here's an example. If you purchased a $100,000 policy in benefits, Medicaid will let you protect $100,000 once you are eligible. So protected assets are also exempt from a state recovery. So it's a dollar for dollar match because you purchased a policy. So federal guideline policies, any tax qualified plan for long-term care insurance policies can be certified under partnership plan. States may not require specific terms of benefits of policies unless they require the same of all long-term care policies sold in their state. Goal is for future reciprocal recognition among states. Federal guidelines and inflation. These are the basic guidelines as of to date, based on the individual age when purchase of a policy. A person aged 60 or under must have compound inflation, and that's usually, right now the cap is about 3.5%. Virginia was the first state to pass partnership, and that was, I want to say it was September of 2007. Age 61 to 75 must have some level of inflation. If you're over age 76, you do not need inflation on a policy. But I tell you, if you're 76, you're going to have a hard time going through underwriting to get a policy. The author's opinion, this is from Mark. He thinks that many think that most, if not all, states will pass this legislation to help solve their Medicaid budget problems. Most, if not all, companies will rush to get their products certified to stay competitive in the market. Consumers should act now, protect their insurability, lock in your insurability today. That, and if you also buy a plan at 5% inflation, it's kind of like a savings account you get today. You buy a $100,000 account. It's $100,000 that'll compound at 5% today. That's a great savings plan. How should this affect your decision regarding long-term care insurance coverage? Expect most companies to reissue policies currently in force so their clients can take advantage of the new law. You need to check with your provider if you currently have a long-term care insurance policy, if it meets the new requirements. Companies are shying away from guaranteeing reissue because they want to see some states pass laws to make sure that their policies will be compliant and verify no benefits will be minimum or mandated. However, if your state passes a partnership plan following current federal law, most policies should be certified as long as inflation guidelines are followed. That's where I said, that 3.5%. There's a couple potential pitfalls. Your state may not pass partnership plans yet. Some states haven't even submitted articles yet. Your state may pass legislation that requires different benefits than the Deficit Reduction Act requires. Your long-term care insurance policy may not be certified under your state partnership plan. Here's some potential benefits: as your state has incentives to pass partnership legislation that follows the Deficit Reduction Act. Your insurance company may have incentives to become certified to remain competitive. So if you follow inflation guidelines, there's a good chance your policy will be covered under the new law. That means you could protect some of all of your assets from a long-term care situation. So why not lock in your insurability today, right now? There has been discussion that having long-term care insurance may also protect children under FILIA laws, and that's something you can Google and look up. There's also articles on the website about that. There are many reasons to buy long-term care insurance. Potential partnership coverage is just icing on the cake.